condition. It's not in new condition, but it's certainly not
The roof.
at the stage where it needs to be replaced. It's got about half of its life, in my opinion, left, so I think it's probably got about a good 15 years total time left. It seems to have been installed okay. At those ridge vents up there at the top, none of the nails have been sealed with any kind of putty or anything like that, so they are exposed, and a lot of them are rusting, so that should be dealt with. But as far as the main roof itself, it's in pretty decent condition.
Okay. What's that wire hanging? Anything
That's
you're concerned with?
Cable wire
Okay.
for like a satellite. There may have been a satellite dish.
Okay.
It's just a standard cable. It's just a regular coaxial cable.
Okay.
You know, for cable TV or whatnot. Over here we have a well pump. Now there's no access to the electrical connections because they are properly sealed and encased in a little junction box like they should be, and that's what's supplying the water to the house. And it's being taken from this little well here, and it goes to a expansion tank, and then it goes to the house from there. And as we already talked about, from inside, there's a tank right there, which is part of the main water system from the groundwater supply, and there is a shutoff there, so that's how you would shut water off the entire house.
Okay.
Okay.
That red.
And back to the air conditioning over here on this side. As you can feel, this air coming out is cold, and it should be hot. Okay, so that needs to be hot air. Okay.
Back up.
All right, moving along. The garage door has a few dings, dents, you know, normal, what you would expect at a house this age. You know, you've got a little ding there. You've got one over here. You know, those kind of things. Now, they don't affect how the door is operating at this point. You know, and you've got, you know, little things like trim that's falling down, and, you know, little basic things like that. You'll see some soffits like right here. These soffit vents that are bent. You know, they got hit somewhere or another, somehow or other they got hit and bent up. You know, that sort of stuff. Just normal maintenance stuff. Normal damage to a house, you know, of this age. Things are going to happen. But a couple of things to pay attention to is if you look and you see all this foliage that's touching the exterior of the house, that should all be trimmed back to where it's not touching the house, especially if you're going to paint the house. You don't want foliage touching the house, scraping the paint, or doing any damage to the paint. Now this is the first gable end right here. As you can see, it's wood. It looks to be in pretty good condition. This gable end is reinforced from inside, and that's probably the one in the best condition, actually. Now you see right here, this is from the outside. Now you can see this trench that's being formed by a lack of having any gutter system in place.
Right.
That's going to get worse over time as more and more water, you know, spills down. It'll get deeper, and you can see that they've added gravel over time. You know, somebody has added gravel to try to compensate for the amount of erosion that's happening around the foundation of the house.
Okay.
Now, that can be solved with a gutter system, or you can also plant foliage. That helps, you know, bushes, shrubs, and that sort of stuff, but the best way around it really is a gutter system. Now, coming over here, where you saw that wood damage from inside the screen enclosure, and you can see the rot and damage to the wood on this side of the house. It doesn't really have anywhere to go. It doesn't have, you know, as that water's running off the roof, it's naturally just going to run against that wall, and it's going to do damage. Now, there's a little partial gutter system right here, but it's not far enough away from the foundation of the house, so it's going to do some damage down there to that wood, which it's already started to do. And then you can see a little bit of the gutters right there, this little section of gutter. You can see that it's clogged. You can see things growing out of it. It needs to be cleaned so that it does flush water properly. And again, looking at this section of the house and the wood that's up there on that gable section of the wall, it's deteriorated, and that's all water damage. Okay, that's just one more thing that, as an inspector or as a homeowner, to be thinking about is how water can damage your house, how easily it is for water to damage your house if you don't keep it away from the structure itself. Okay? Again, along the whole length of the back of the house, you can see that the trench has been formed from the lack of gutter or lack of any kind of shrubbery or anything to help with that water diversion. Okay? And underneath a lot of these leaves, there has been gravel that's been added to help compensate because of that defect. The homeowner was not sure what to do. It was a pretty simple fix as far as I'm concerned. This would be adding gutters. This is that door that we saw from inside of the utility room. As you can see on the corners of the frame and on the bottom portion of the door, I've locked it from the inside, but you can see the rot there on the bottom of the frame. And that happens because there's nothing to protect. There's nothing to protect the door. It's
from
just,
water.
Yeah, it's just outside, and it's just it gets weathered. The water runs off the roof. It splashes on this little piece of concrete, and it just hits all that wood and rots it out. And right here, you see a little bit of wall cracking, which is what we call stair-step cracking, which is cracking that follows the mortar joint of the concrete block. Okay, pretty much follows it, pretty much exactly as the concrete block is. That's not kind of cracking to be alarmed by unless it's really, an 1/8 of an inch or larger. It's pretty normal for a stucco house to settle in this manner, especially since houses, they all settle, but they settle in different rates. You're going to find some cracking and some openings that do happen because of that. But stair-step cracking is generally not something to be alarmed about unless it's really wide or it's displaced.
Okay.
Okay?